Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at another USB Type-C innovation. This is a portable monitor from Asus. It's called their MB16AC. This is their ZenScreen line. They've been making these portable displays for a while, and they've usually used a USB cable to connect to a computer. But in the old days of regular USB, you needed a driver in order to get the display to work. So your computer was doing extra work to get things on the screen. But now that we have USB Type-C, we don't need that anymore, and a single cable here plugged into the side of the monitor will get your display extended from your computer, as you're about to see here in just a second. Hopefully it comes up, and there we go. So pretty easy to do, no power needed. It just plugs right into that cable and you're good to go. We're going to be exploring this monitor here in just a second. But I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one is reviewing this content before it is posted. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. This is a 15.6-inch display running at 1080p. It is an IPS display, but the viewing angles aren't great on it. It certainly dims out quite a bit as you get off center from it. Part of the reason why it dims out so much is that it's not very bright to begin with. It is powered by the USB port here, so this is all you're going to plug in, just this cable into your computer, and it will draw power from the computer that you are connecting it to, and as a result, it just doesn't have enough power to make a very bright screen. So if you put this next to your Macbook, for example, you'll see a very big difference in brightness, but it does function quite well as a secondary display, which is why I bought it. I'm typically working on videos upstairs after dinner on my kitchen counter, and I wanted to have a secondary display to plug in without having to have a whole bunch of other stuff like a power adapter and additional cables to get my display going. So this thing kind of meets that need for me. But if you're looking for something portable and bright, you will not have it here. It definitely is a dim display. It's also rather expensive. It comes in at $250, which is a lot more than many of the USB displays that Asus has been manufacturing prior to this one. But this one works like a traditional USB display. There's an adapter that comes in the box to allow you to plug it into your old computer, but you will need a driver to get that old USB functionality to work. So if you only have an older computer with a USB port, there's no need to buy this expensive one. You can get the same performance out of a lower cost display. But this one, of course, has USB Type-C, which allows it to work without a driver. And this is bringing over video directly from our video card on my laptop here, so you're getting the full performance versus something that has to run through an intermediary driver that will add some additional load to your computer and not work with your GPU, for example. So this one will definitely provide a lot more flexibility for video editing, potentially gaming. We'll talk more about gaming in a little bit, and other functions where you really just want to get the true output from your video adapter, and that will be accomplished here. It's not all that heavy nor thick. So this is about, let me just unplug it here for a second. It's about 8 millimeters thick here, so very thin. It weighs about 1.7 pounds or 780 grams, and it's not that heavy to carry it around. It's kind of bulky because it's large, but other than that, I've been finding it works pretty nicely in its little sleeve here that it comes with to walk around with. This sleeve works like a stand, although it's a little hard to figure out. So to get it into its stand mode here, you have to fold this thing up twice, and then, or I always do this wrong here, fold it up like so, and then rest the monitor like that. There's also another way that you can have it positioned in the portrait format here also, so you can have it work vertically as well as horizontally, and there is an auto detection on the rotation, although I did find that when I plug it into my Mac, it only recognizes the monitor in this orientation. Windows was a little friendlier to me than the Mac was for running it in that portrait mode. What's interesting, though, is there's a big hole here on the side, and if you don't want to walk around with the case, they provide you an option for mounting it without the case, which is this pen that it came with. And I thought for a minute maybe this was a touch display. It isn't. This pen is actually here to work as a stand, so you can stick the little pen in here and basically get yourself a makeshift stand with the pen that they include in the box. It's just a regular pen, so you don't want to write on the screen with this thing. This is not a stylus, and I think a lot of consumers might make that error when they get it, but it works exactly like you see here, and it also works in the portrait mode here also. Let me just readjust it here, but you can put in the pen and keep the display balanced on the table there. It's not as eloquent in this mode because it kind of has an opportunity here to tip over, but it does work pretty nicely in the landscape mode here when you have it on a desk, so pretty flexible there. The screen is very shiny though, as you can see, which is a disappointment because for a portable display, you don't know what kind of lighting conditions you're going to be in, and I would have preferred a matte display to this one, but it is what it is, and you'll have to deal with it, but I was hoping for something a little less shiny. Now, brightness issues aside, the image quality on the display is very nice. Remember, this is an IPS display, which means you get very sharp images and text, really nice color here, as you can see, and the contrast ratio is also pretty nice. They list it at 800:1, but the blacks look very deep to me on this display, very similar to what I've seen on other high-quality IPS displays. Not seeing a lot of backlight bleed here, if any, so I'm really pleased with the overall contrast of the image. The colors look very nice. The one thing, though, for gamers they should keep in mind is that the response rate does not look so great on this one, as it is with many IPS displays. So as I'm moving around, I'm getting a good amount of motion blur, which indicates the response rate is probably running over 10 milliseconds, and many gamers will want something in the 1 to 3 millisecond territory for the best possible image quality with high motion scenes. It is running at 60 hertz. There's no FreeSync support or any of those fancy features, but good enough to get the job done for gaming when you don't want to have a separate power adapter for your display. And because you're plugging in directly with DisplayPort, you're going to get the full power of your GPU. And for those of you following my channel, you know we've developed a way of measuring latency of these displays by using an Xbox One controller in Windows and a high-speed camera on my iPhone to measure how long it takes for a button press to get recognized on screen. This display actually performed the worst out of all the ones I have tested so far, about 112 milliseconds of lag. So if you are looking for a very responsive display, this one is probably not going to be that, but I don't think this is really, again, being marketed as a gaming display as much as it is as a supplemental display when you want something thin and light and portable. Now, if you're hoping there could be a magic adapter that will allow you to use this display with any DisplayPort equipped PC, I hate to disappoint you, but it's not going to work because you're getting power through here on the USB-C connection as well as that DisplayPort data. And unless you develop some out-of-spec thing that takes in a separate power source, there's no other way to power this display and get the visual data over to it unless you've got a USB-C equipped PC or you go for the adapter with the driver, but that of course will impact your performance dramatically. But if you have a USB-C equipped PC and you wanted a very easy to set up display that didn't require all this extra cabling to get to work, this is a pretty nice way to go. You just plug in a single cable, stick your pen into the hole here, and you've got yourself a second monitor wherever you want, and it's not all that heavy to carry around with you, which is what it will accomplish for me when I'm upstairs in the kitchen getting my work done in the evening. So I'm very pleased with this for what I'm using it for, but I don't think it's going to be for everybody. This is Lon.TV, and thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including gold level supporter Cody Falk. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.